Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live video. I'm really happy to be here, Gretchen, to be able to talk to everyone about the homestead business success, as well as talking about building that community and how important that is for the success of your homestead.
Yes.
So I'm actually from Small Town and Rural. We're a family-owned and operated marketing agency located in North Idaho. And our purpose is to help small town and rural businesses to flourish, which is why we provide all the businesses we work with the knowledge and tools they need to succeed.
It's been super helpful working with you. I think that, going through some of the things, especially going through the Homestead Business Success Plan and getting new ideas of new options that are available for moving from that hobby business or hobby homestead to an actual business that provides income. It's just been super helpful.
I think it's important to remember that everyone really starts their homestead journey with that desire to be more self-sufficient, live with the land, and carve out that little place for themselves. And so it's not usually in the forefront of their mind of how am I going to make money off of this? And they might not even they might be focused on producing meat and vegetables just for their family, but in order to cover some of those costs in modern homesteading, you have to have a stream of income, whether that's from something you sell on your homestead or a job to be able to cover the costs of homesteading, because in the past, people relied on one another and didn't necessarily do everything themselves, whether that was they were trading garden produce, animals, or skills. You had that whole community of people working together towards a common goal, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I think that that's a really important aspect of homesteading, is having that connection with your greater community of homesteaders.
Well, and I think that's part of where I started out. When we moved, I really wanted to be able to grow most of our own food and do a lot of those things in a more self-sufficient manner. But when you say self-sufficient, it's not just about me doing it all. I don't have all the skills. I don't, I can't do everything. You just can't. So I actually started going to, I joined our local chapter of the Ladies Homestead Gathering and met a whole bunch of ladies that were interested in sharing that knowledge and doing the same kinds of things, so we could get ideas about, how does this work? How do you grow in a different climate, for example, because we've moved to a totally different area. So just being able to share that knowledge has been huge. And I think that from there, like you said, I didn't start out with the idea that I wanted to make money from my homestead. I was just like, this is what I know I want to do. And then as I started getting new ideas there, I started thinking, okay, I want this to be so much bigger than what it is right now. How do I supplement that and make that happen financially? And then how do I make an income from that? I just never even realized that that was possible before. So that community has really brought that to light for me.
Yeah, I really agree. I actually was invited to a chapter to be able to go and talk to people about homestead branding. And I was just amazed because we didn't have a ladies homestead chapter in my county. And it was amazing coming to the event and being able to talk to all of these like-minded ladies and be able to just talk to them about we raise quail. So I asked them questions about hey, how do you do this or that? And they were like, oh, you just get some lime and you just sprinkle it on there. It'll be fine. And I'm just like, nobody talks about this online or any YouTube videos or anything like that. And so it's so great to be able to have that community of people that you can be able to reach out to and rely on. And then to be able to also help them in return is very fulfilling.
Yeah.
I just feel like being able to forge those connections with other homesteaders is so important, just because I might not be raising goats today, but I might decide to do that next year or the year after. And
Right.
I don't know how to raise goats yet. But
Right.
I know that there's a lot of people in my community that do, and that I could be able to buy goats from, and that they would help me to be able to guide me on being able to do that on my own. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. Um, it's so satisfying that once I've had to struggle through trial and error to figure something out, when somebody asks the question of, hey, does anyone know how to do fill in the blank or fix this problem? And I'm like, I know the solution. It makes it feel like the trial and error to get there kind of was a little more worthwhile, because I was able to save someone else from having to
Right.
go through that. So,
I love that too. And I think that's kind of what started me on this path. I look things up and I learn new things. And somebody mentioned at some point, hey, why don't you share that knowledge? And so in creating my courses, at first I was like, what do you mean? Anybody could just, isn't that what everybody does? And it's like, well, it could save somebody time if they don't have to look it up and gather all the information. So just getting those ideas and being able to share them has been really helpful. And then, kind of having an idea that other people do want this information also, has kind of been a big light to me. Like, oh, I'm not the only one who's looking for how to grow a more productive garden, or, how to make soap.
yeah, exactly. Well, and I was lucky enough to have a nearby neighbor who had been growing uh, like her garden in our climate for many years. And so I had the benefit of being able to reach out to her and ask, okay, can I grow sweet potatoes?
Right.
How do I grow that sweet potatoes? And I think that it's so nice to be able to have those neighbors. And I feel that that's really what Ladies Homestead Gathering is, because uh, it used to be that all your neighbors were homesteaders.
Yeah.
That's just how you survived. And so with the Ladies Homestead Gathering, able to have uh we're able to reach out at a greater distance and be able to basically say, these are my neighbors, these are my community.
Yeah.
And I think that that's um really important for homesteaders, especially because homesteading can kind of be a bit of a solitary thing if it's just you, or even if it's just a few people that are, your family that's working on
Right.
the homestead. Being able to have an outside perspective on that is really nice.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember, sometimes people will they won't want to sell, or they won't want to trade their things. They'll feel bad, they like want to give them away for free. And it's important to remember that um, in the modern times and in the past, trading and bartering and selling, which is just trading what you've made for money and then using that money to trade for something else. So it is trade. So doing that is one of the best ways to actually have a connection in your community, because you're going to be supporting someone else's homestead, and they're going to be just as happy to support your homestead. Um, that's going to help you cover some of those costs that come from modern homesteading. If you have 80 acres, and I know a homesteader in our chapter that has 80 acres, and they grow all their own hay for the whole year. A lot of people just have 5. They're not going to be able to grow all of the hay that they need for the year. And so it's important to have a way of being able to cover the cost of the different animals, because as things are getting more expensive, um, the high quality goods that you're producing on your homestead are going to actually be comparable in price.
Right.
Um, and so we need to find a way to be able to cover those baseline costs: feed, shelter, veterinarian bills, those sort of things. Those are
Right.
just a everyday part of having a homestead. And in my opinion, part of being self-sufficient is being financially self-sufficient. So having things that are, whether you are whether it's your chickens that are covering their costs of having chickens, or if you have goats and that actually covers the cost of your goats and your chickens. It's not every single thing on your homestead is going to necessarily cover its costs.
Right.
But if you can find things that you can sell, like you're selling the microgreens that you're growing, and that's bringing in income to be able to cover the cost of, uh, you're going to get to a place where you're going to be able to be like, okay, I want to put a chicken coop over here, and now I have the funds to be able to do that because my microgreens are covering those costs.
Yeah.
And so it's finding things like that that you can do on your homestead that are in high demand, and that are, my goal is either that it's fun to do, enjoyable to do, or that it is easy to fit into your schedule, because homesteaders are super busy.
Right.
You always wake up one morning and there's always something, like one day I woke up and there was a quail stuck in the feed. We have like old rabbit feeders, so
Yeah.
it somehow had climbed up and was like doing like chicken run to escape or something, but it was in there, and I was just like, you just never know what's gonna
Right.
happen.
It's always something that pops up. It's
Yes.
never a dull moment. Yeah. And that's definitely, the Grow More Sales course that you have. The main reason that I wanted to do that was to help supplement, building our chicken coop. And when I started looking at the cost of all of the materials that I was going to need last year, and I was like, I need to find a way to make this pay for itself so I can make it happen. So that was the initial reason that I signed up for that course. And at that point I just had my online courses. So um through that whole process, though, I've learned so much and got so many new ideas that that's kind of where my microgreens portion has started from. I found other ways to diversify the income from the homestead, um, and that's a lot of fun, and it fits my schedule, so it's kind of a bonus. It's not a whole lot of things you add to the homestead that don't take a whole lot more time, but that one has been pretty fun. Um, but it came right from that course and going through and thinking about other options that we could diversify into in in the process of wanting to, support getting chickens.
So, if anyone wants to download the free checklist for the Homestead Business Success Path, you can go to smll.ink/homestead checklist. We were just talking about that a little bit earlier about the different stages that your homestead is in. It's a Homestead Business Success Path. And we used all of our experience from helping small businesses to be able to thrive over 20 years to create a real tried and true plan that actually can get you to a place where you're covering some or even all of your costs of your homesteading. So it's going to help you clearly identify which stage you're in, which is one of the most important parts, because then you can use the tasks that we put on there to be able to get to the next stage. A
Yes.
lot of people will have just like one or two tasks that they need to do to be able to move to that next stage, there's just a couple things that are holding them back from their potential. And you can push as hard as you can, but like a fence, you can only put in the fence one post at a time.
And it was
So
pretty exciting. I had done that checklist before and kind of figured out where I was, and doing it again at this point and seeing all the other things that I've done as we've been going through this process was pretty exciting. So it is definitely important to have that specific guide that just really walks you through the steps.
And so to kind of give you a quick summary for anyone that's not familiar with our Homestead Business Success Path, there's kind of three phases. There's the hobby phase, where you're paying for everything. There's the side hustle phase, where you are actually paying for some of your costs. So you're covering some of your costs with income from your homestead. And there's the homestead business. This is a successful business that's covering all of your costs for your homesteading, and might even be making a profit. And that's where I really want to get all homesteaders to, is that homestead business phase, where you have a successful business and stream of income from your homestead. And when I say stream of income, I'm talking about, like, I'm not saying that your soaps would make all of your money, but maybe if you sold microgreens and soaps and also rented out your goats to clear land, those are all things that together can be the income that's coming from your homestead. And so it's all about finding the first step the first thing that you're going to sell, so that you can be able to get that down, and then you can have the capacity to add the next stream of income so that you can cover your costs.
Yeah,
So
that's been
go ahead.
really, really helpful. Just narrowing it down and not trying to do everything at once has been very nice for me.
Well, because when you're in that hobby phase, to get to the side hustle, um, you need a website, you need to have social media, and once you get to the next phase, once you're starting to make some money from your homestead, then it's time that you can invest in a little bit better branding, like a logo, and get your newsletter list started. Those are ways that you're going to be able to reach a greater audience.
Mhm.
And so it's about when you're just a hobbyist, and there's nothing wrong with being a hobby homesteader, in my opinion. I think that if you are able to grow all your own meat, all your own veggies, and so you work a day job, but you're also able to do that and enjoy that, that's awesome. And I think that I would love to be able to be there. And if you have a job that you really love, or a home business that you really love to do, that's great. That's awesome. I think that a lot of people would love to be at that place. But if you want to expand it, or you want to do more than just your chickens in your garden, you do need to have a stream of income to be able to pay for that, especially if you want to be able to homestead full time and not have to have a job that you have to work separate from the homestead.
Right. Not that you're not working on the homestead. No, but
um,
playing in the dirt all day would be my goal.
oh, for sure. I definitely agree. It's anytime that I can, I'm out there working, trying to, like weeding or watering, or,
Yeah.
mending fences. There's always something to be done, but it is very enjoyable to be out in nature and be able to uh, have the nice clean air, and it's just so peaceful.
Mhm.
Um, and that's something that I just really enjoy about that.
Yeah.
And I think if you really look at all the different tasks and all the different things that are on that homestead success path, really one of the biggest marketing strategies that is preventing homesteaders from having that self-sustaining homestead business that they want um, is focusing on social media
Mhm.
as just the sole focus of their marketing, and not including their website and their newsletter in that as well. So you need to have your website be the focus of your content marketing, because that way that content lives there forever. On social media, that post may only be there for, people may only be able to see it for an hour before it's buried under all the rest of the posts that are being shared. So if you share that on your website, then you're building SEO. You're getting Google is able to find that content. If you're sharing it in your newsletter, that's direct to people who actually want to hear from you. And this is the content marketing plan is going to have the biggest impact on your sales and overall brand awareness, because having that plan makes it easy to be consistent. And consistency is honestly the key to success, because whether it's the Google algorithms, or the Facebook algorithms, or simply the fact that people need to see your business 7 times before they make a decision to purchase from you, being consistent and having that once a day, 3 times a day, whatever is comfortable for you for social media and your website marketing, having that plan so that you can be consistent is going to make it so that you're able to get sales a lot faster, which is important because we only have so much time to be able to do marketing in a day. And so
Right.
having that consistent plan, so you know exactly what you're going to do with those 15-20 minutes that you have. And you need to have your blog posts in that plan, your social media posts, and your newsletter emails, so that you can send all 3 of those out.
And I think that's been huge for me because, as and I'm sure I'm not the only one, as the general homesteader that wants to be outside and playing in my garden, learning about SEO and learning about, Facebook's algorithms and all these different things have it's almost like a different language that I haven't really wanted to embrace because I want to be outside. So
Yeah.
having that help and having somebody help me with deciphering the language and getting a plan set up has been really valuable. That way I don't have to waste energy on those kinds of things that I don't want to figure out. I can just create the plan and then have it work for me, without learning this new crazy language that I know I've been digging my heels in for. So I really appreciate your help on that.
Oh yeah, I think that it's so important for, in my opinion, it's so important for the technology side of things. As a technology like expert, I think that it's so silly that it's all in such a, like jargon and strange phrases and things like that that are all overly specific. I just prefer things in plain English. And
Yes.
that's what my goal is I'm going to take something like SEO and I'm going to say Google has a checklist that they check to see if your website is good. That's what it means. It doesn't need to be an acronym.
Yeah.
And
It's been
so
really helpful just having that put into English
it's
for me.
and that's my goal, is to provide business owners with that freedom and independence to be able to do their marketing really well on their own. And I really truly believe that it's important for you to be able to have control of your marketing and know what's going on. And so that's one of the reasons why we created the courses that we did, to be able to teach people to grow more sales. Um, because there's very specific strategies that you can use for doing considerate marketing that work really well, and you don't have to know all of the jargon, because it's a plan that consistently works, and we have been refining this method for over 20 years, and it has stood the test of time, from different social media to Google changing up the algorithms. It still works, it's still consistent, because we have refined it over a very long period of time. And so it's a very tried and true plan for doing your content marketing, because when it comes to small businesses and rural businesses, building relationships is the key to being able to have more sales, because you want to build that relationship with your potential customers.
Right.
And so what you're doing is you're using social media, your website, your newsletter to do that. Just like you would if you were in person and you met them at the farmer's market, or they came into your brick and mortar shop. You're wanting to build that connection with them and help them by providing them with services and products.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. And I'm in a place after going through the Grow More Sales course and the Homestead Path checklist, that I'm feeling like it's starting to fall into place already. It's made a huge difference just going through that, in the quality of the content that I've been able to provide, as well as, just knowing I'm not spending as much time because I'm more efficient with it.
Yeah, you know exactly what to do. You're doing the right thing at the right time, because you actually understand the concepts
Right.
behind what the plan. And it's because it's like I said, it's a simple plan that works consistently, so you don't have to know um the jargon. You know how the buyer's journey works. You know
Right.
how you're going to actually this is actually going to build a relationship, and so you understand how to use each of the tools that you have available to you. And so our goal is to remove the guesswork, so that you don't have to feel anxious and you can feel confident, and your business can thrive. And it's really been amazing seeing you going through the course, and just like you said, the quality of your social media posts, the blog posts that you've been consistently putting out, your newsletters, all of that has really, I've noticed the consistency is really great. The content has been awesome. I'm actually a fan of the content, because I benefit from learning all of the gardening information and all of that as well. So it's a win-win. And it's just been great to see the how you've been getting more comments on your posts. You've been getting more reactions, and so it's just been great to see the success that you've been having with your content marketing plan.
Yeah, it definitely feels like progress, which is fantastic.
So if you want to go through the Grow More Sales course, just like Gretchen did, then just go to sml.ink/grow more sales to learn more and to sign up. It's only $49 a month for 3 months, and you get 3 months worth of weekly lessons, as well as and so that includes workbooks that you're able to go through. That includes all the information you need to be able to understand exactly how to create a successful content marketing plan and be able to focus on the right products to be able to make your homestead business a success.
That course was, just to let people know as I went through it, it was amazing in how it's broken down into bite-sized chunks. So even if you don't have a lot of time or you don't feel like you have a lot of extra capacity to put towards something, it is well worth it. I got way more from that course than I expected, and it has made a huge difference in the content and my plan, as I mentioned, but also just in my understanding and my comfort level with my marketing. So I would highly recommend it, and working with Amelia has been fantastic. It's just such a pleasure to work with somebody who's very pleasant and who really knows their stuff.
Thank you, Gretchen. I really appreciate that. I forgot to mention, if you're a Lady Homestead Gathering VIP member, you actually do get 10% off of the course as well. So you can just check the member directory to find the secret coupon code for Small Town and Rural.
Perfect. And if you haven't looked at Ladies Homestead Gathering, you can always message me or Amelia. We both have local chapters that we're participating in, and we can get you hooked up with whatever chapter is local to you or let you know how to participate in that.
Yes, I definitely think that if you don't have a chapter in your area, it is super beneficial to actually look into starting one. It's super easy. They make it super simple. You just need like 3 or 4 people to be able to start. And the gatherings are super simple to be able to put on. And it's so much fun.
It it is a lot of fun, and you never know what you're going to learn. You know, we've learned crocheting, we've learned about sheep and fiber arts and soap and all kinds of great stuff. So it's just such a beneficial program to have around, and it is nationwide. So there's quite likely a chapter near you, or like we said, you can start a new one if there's not.